freaking suck.
Pretty hard on himself, so 200, not 93rd. Stephen A., do you agree with Kobe's breakdown of his performance thus far?
I don't agree with the breakdown of the 200, but I do agree that he's been absolutely awful, but I'm not concerned about it. And the reason I'm not concerned about it is because he's just missing shots. If he couldn't move, if he couldn't get off the floor, if he couldn't get his shot off, if his shot was getting blocked, if he couldn't escape a defender or whatever, that would be different. What Kobe is doing right now is missing shots. He's shooting 31% from the field. He's shooting 20% from three-point range, like 6 of 29. Those are just awful numbers.
Wait,
Let's
say
just
that
go with
again.
it. 20.
6 of 29?
26 of 29 from three-point range. He looks absolutely awful, and that's why I think that he has the right to get on me or anybody else if we were critical of him, as if we're saying something different than what he says. Now, if he was sitting up there saying that he was great, we don't know what the hell we're talking about, then that would be different. But he's quick to beat people to the punch, because I've always admired the fact that he's ultra critical of himself.
Yeah.
Even when he's taking shots that he shouldn't be taking, he'll defend them sometimes. Be like, please, you're damn right, I'm going to keep doing it because this is how I play and this is the way it's going to be. But he knows that right now he's looking very bad because he's not making shots. I watched him against Minnesota. I watched him a little bit in a loss against Dallas the other day. I didn't see a guy, Skip, that couldn't get his shot. I saw a guy that was missing shots. And sometimes you got to remember, I was covering the 76ers, and I remember the year when Allen Iverson was just going off, and he went through like a 10 to 12 game streak where he was shooting like 23%. It was bad. It was bad. It happens. Now, in Kobe's case, he's 37. So you're going to look at him and say, wait a minute now, this could be it. But I'm going to be hesitant to say that now because I've seen him miss open shots. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes your shot is just not falling. I think what happens is that, unlike times in the past, because he's missing shots that he would normally make, whereas he would fight through it before, since the Lakers are winless, coming off the season they had last year, I think it's one of those situations where he's looking at himself and he's like, I'm being a detriment to this team, and that's a foreign feeling for him. So he's taking it extra hard because he knows the world is watching him to see if he's rehabilitated or what have you. But I really think he's just missing shots right now.
Okay, so you're saying this is a slump and not the end.
That's right. I think
it's
a slump and not the end as of yet, because health-wise, I see a guy getting open. He's just missing shots.
I can't tell you how much I hope you're right. I'm starting to get that queasy, sad feeling for Kobe, and I just hope he can just play his way out of this, shoot his way out of it. But, you know, I thought Tim Legler said something very interesting last night on the Late Sports Center. Kobe never was a great long-distance shooter to start with. And now that he's pretty much reduced to being only a long-distance shooter, if he has any slump at all, he really looks bad because he's not Steph Curry to start with. Do you see what I mean? So he's a 33% career, 33.4 career three-point shooter. And all of a sudden, as you say, he's, 20.7% now? 6 of 29. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing defenders no longer fear his blow-by ability. He can still go a little between the legs and put a little, crossover move and get a little. He can get his shot, but nobody fears the blow-by quickness or explosion that obviously he used to have as much as anybody ever had it. So defenders are closing out on him on the three-point line with impunity and without fear. And it's harder on him because he's going to get covered on a lot. I understand sometimes he just misses open ones, but man, his degree of difficulty is much higher because there's no threat of, you run at me, pal, I'm going up and under. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I get where your point is valid, but not entirely accurate in my opinion, simply because of this. Kobe's level of intelligence, once he gets to the hole, to get fouled, is something they would also have to fear. And they're cognizant of that. Here's where it really gets highlighted. Skip Bayless, if Kobe Bryant were making some of these shots, and let's say, for example, he's just averaging 15 to 18 a game on 43% shooting, 44% shooting, I think that's something you need to feel more concerned about because he's making shots. But at the same time, it's too difficult for him. I don't think you have to worry about him when he's just missing, because if he's just missing, that's a slump. What happens is what you'd have to monitor is if he's shooting 43, 44, 45% from the field, but the average still ain't up there, because then that means guys are getting up in you and you have a difficult time shaking them off of you. That would be more flagrant than him shooting 20% from three and 31% from the field, because when you're shooting, first of all, he shot more than anybody on the Lakers, and he's missing.
Yeah.
So that means that you're getting shots.
Okay,
you just can't make them.
I got it. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, you laughed at ESPN.com's ranking of Kobe as the 93rd best or worst player.
I still do.
You still do?
I still do.
Because, right, you know, I'm more than him. He's starting to look like 200th at the moment.
Well, listen, anybody that's missing shots is going to look bad, because you have to make shots. But I'm looking at who's causing it. If defenders, you can't shake them loose and you can't get shots off, that's a different ball game. But when you Kobe and you're just missing those shots, I don't see it that way. But I will tell you this. I'm more alarmed by the fact that he was given a day off. The Kobe Bryant that I know doesn't need a day off to get his mind right for basketball.
Well, his body not right as he tries to bounce back?
What I'm saying is the fact that he got the day off because of his mind tells me that something's eating away at him, and we might be seeing the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Well, it's still early, and we'll see what that day off helped tonight. I think they play at 10:30 Eastern, Staples Center, when the Nuggets come to town. Steph Curry, he just keeps dominating, picking up where he left off of his last season, MVP caliber play.